Don't be a dick.
Like,
don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick. Yeah.
What's up, everybody? I am Johnny Christ, and this is Drinks with Johnny. Thank you guys so much for being here and checking out this episode. I'm really excited. I'm just going to bring on this week's guest. It's Heidi Shepherd of the Butcher Babies. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. Thank you so much. Woo!
Yeah. It's a fucking thirsty Thursday. We're recording at night, so that, you know, a lot of times people, as we were talking before I hit record here, we've been doing a lot of these Zooms and drinking parties and stuff over Zoom, and a lot of the times those end up being like 11 o'clock in the morning. So I appreciate you saying, like, let's do this at 8 p.m. I'm like, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, I had a couple things to do today where, I couldn't be too inebriated. So it's evening, and I'm super excited. I have my vino here.
Oh my God, okay, I'm so glad you busted that out. The Butcher Burgundy.
Yes.
I was asking, is it Kelly that got us connected, your agent?
Yeah.
So a couple days ago, I was listening to you and Carla talk on, the Lead Singer Syndrome podcast you guys did last year. And I was listening to that, and I just, through that, learned that you guys had a wine. And I was like, oh, shit, is there any way I could get that? And she's like, it's completely sold out right now. But when we do the next batch, we'll try and get you one after. Because I was going to have that with you. Now instead I'm starting off, we were talking, again, before we went and recorded. I was just at the country club with my family. I had a martini there. And then I'm going to have one of my hi-fi hops. It's a sparkling water with THC in it. It's fantastic.
Ooh, I love that stuff.
It's so good.
I had my first sparkling THC water in Oregon this last month.
Yeah.
And woo!
They're fucking awesome, right?
They're great. Yeah, I was on the moon after a while, but it was so good. And then we ended up going out and getting real drinks, and things just got wild from there. But I mean,
whereabouts in Oregon were you?
Oh, I was in Grants Pass during this thing.
Okay.
Grants Pass and Roseburg, Southern Oregon. I spend a lot of time up there. My drummer lives in Grants Pass, and so it was with him that we were trying this THC water. It's pretty crazy that, we've progressed this much that we have THC water now.
I agree with you. I'm just so glad I lived long enough to see it happen. Because mean, it's a far cry from taking a Coke can or a beer can like I used to in high school and smoking pot out of that,
Yeah. Or an apple.
An apple, yeah. See, you're classier than me, Heidi. You went for the apple. You're like an apple a day.
That's what our crew does on tour.
Nice.
Because, if we go over the borders, you can't have paraphernalia.
Right.
And so apples are on our riders.
For that reason. So everyone thinks that the Butcher Babies are just being really healthy and has nothing to do with that.
Super healthy. That's all it is. But yeah, so I'll pop this then.
Pop that. Tell me, while you're popping it, why don't you tell me a little bit about that? Because I believe is this your second or third run with the Butcher Babies wine?
This is the second run. This is our 10-year anniversary wine. We released an anniversary wine for our third album several years ago, and that was a hit. So we thought, hey, why not in 2020 celebrate our 10-year anniversary and release a wine? I think everyone's at home doing what we're doing right now.
Yeah. Whether there was a pandemic or not, I think there's plenty of people doing that at home right now.
That's so true. It was so fun because all my band lives in different states. And so we did a lot of these Zoom drinking parties, and we would broadcast it on Twitch. That got a little wild. So this is my Pinot Noir. It's a Butcher Burgundy.
Okay.
Made in Arizona. It was with Desert Rock Winery.
Is that anywhere near Maynard's vineyard out there? I know Maynard's got a vineyard out there.
Yeah, it is not too far. So his is in Jerome, which is about an hour and a half-ish away from Scottsdale, where this is from.
Awesome.
And these guys have been so great to us. They take our notes. I literally went down to the winery and tasted things. I'm like, I want a little bit of this. I needed a little bit spicy. It needs to have a little bit of a kick here and there, which kind of encompasses Butcher Babies.
Oh, I can't wait to try it again. I'm sad that I was late to the party. Yes, please do. So when you say you went down there and like handpicked some of this stuff, like, did they guide you at all? Or were you kind of like just, I mean, how in depth did you guys get? And maybe not even you guys, just how in depth did you specifically get? I mean, you're out there stomping on grapes. What do we got going on?
I'm all in. No, I was just tasting different things. And of course they helped us, but wine is my go-to drink. So for me, it was pretty easy to kind of pick out what I like and what I don't necessarily love. I love like the buttery taste to a red. And so I wanted a little bit of that too. And so this is mixed with a little bit of a couple other things, but it's mostly a Pinot Noir. You can tell it's a little bit lighter than most dark wines. My favorite wine is Tempranillo, but that's an acquired taste for some people. Yeah, see? So we did a Pinot Noir, kept it light a little bit. And when I get some, I'll send you some. When we get more. I've had this bottle sitting right behind me, right there on that shelf for a long time. And I thought tonight was a perfect opportunity to
I'm glad that it was that was the night that you decided to cork it with me. I cheers you to that. Thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Speaking of stuff behind you, though, I am noticing you got some Judas Priest back there. I'm trying to see everything you got back there. Is that Gwen?
That is my Lord and Savior.
Gwen Stefani, I love it.
My other Lord and Savior is my ring light's kind of blowing it out, but
I see it.
Beastie Boys, one of my favorite bands of all time.
Fantastic.
I've got a Butcher Babies one. I've got another No Doubt. I've got Meshuggah over here.
Oh, you got Meshuggah. We can't see the Meshuggah one, but I love that's down there.
It's right there, but
I can see it's just a little dark, but yeah. You can send us a picture of it later. We can put it in there after.
Yeah. So this is my haven here.
What room is this in the house, and what house are you coming to us from?
Well, I live in Las Vegas. I moved here exactly a year ago, and I love it. And we moved in, and I picked this house because it did have a blue room with a bunch of weird color stuff in here. And immediately I said, this is our broadcast room. So sitting behind me here are a bunch of TVs and computers and stuff for when we stream to Twitch. And I've got over here my handy dandy.
I love the unicorn head.
Horse head.
That's so good. I've seen pictures of you wearing that on stage. It tickles me every time. It's fantastic.
Yeah, you can't keep me away from it. So yeah, this is my room here, and I love it. I love Las Vegas. It's wild. I lived in Los Angeles for 15 years, and that was my home. But
were you like closer to the Hollywood area? I mean, Greater Los Angeles is pretty fucking big, as you know, if you lived there for 15 years. And maybe some of the listeners don't really realize that. Everyone just thinks L.A. They have no idea how big and vast L.A. is.
And LA is like this big compared to everything around it. So,
and everyone on the outskirts still claims they're in LA. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah. I did live in Hollywood for a really long time. I lived on Sunset and Vine. And awesome.
You were right there. There.
Yeah, I was stumbling distance to everything. I loved it.
Was that when you guys were doing shows on the Sunset Strip and stuff? Before Butcher Babies?
Before and during, yeah.
Yes, okay, perfect.
Yeah, so we did have a band prior to Butcher Babies that we played on the Strip. We had residencies on the Strip, and it was really fun. It was a cover band. But then I moved to Burbank. Burbank was a little bit sleepy for me, so I went to Studio City, and I loved Studio City. But, you know, as it is, LA became kind of not what I was living there for. And having, you know, technology as it is, and you're in Huntington, is that correct?
Huntington Beach, the place that just got put on the map in the last year for a bunch of people not wearing masks and having riots and everything like that. Yeah, it's fantastic.
See, I know Huntington from the pier because it's one of my favorite places to hang.
Oh, you visited? Oh, of course. You were here for 15 years. You got to come down to Huntington.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I was down there quite a bit in my years, and I loved it. But, you know, Los Angeles changed, and when it changed, so did I, and technology is this, so we can be in different states and do this. We can write music in different states now, so my whole band went like this. Everyone's scattered.
Yeah.
And it's great, though. I actually really love it here in Las Vegas.
I love Las
Even
Vegas.
The heat. I love the heat.
You love the heat?
It.
That's the only thing that I don't know. I mean, I could stomach it for a weekend or a week, whatever binge I'm going to be on. But like living there, I don't know. You got to tell me because I've never lived there. I've been there many, many times, but
yeah, well, when obviously everything shut down, we were still in Los Angeles, and then halfway through, we're like, fuck it, let's just move to Vegas and see if we like it, because stuff shut down here anyways. And we moved here, and we just love it. It's so much fun. It's a different pace. I feel like it has a little bit of an Orange County pace, whereas LA is a rat race.
Ooh,
like this is more
you're selling me.
people,
You're selling me right now when you just said an Orange County pace.
So the real estate is good. we've got I feel like
they have my Raiders. I mean, I was almost sold when my Raiders went there. I was like, that's my team. And when they went there,
you're Raider Nation too?
Fuck yeah, I'm Raider Nation. Oh, I saw your post actually, and Phil DeMel, a good friend of mine, commented on it when you had that. It made me bring this closer. Hold on. So it's a Raiders helmet signed by Bo Jackson.
What?
The only thing the caveat, and I'll have to be honest, is it's not a legit Raiders helmet. These are decals, but
still cool.
Bo Jackson still signed it.
Yes, still equally as cool. Well, we'll have to see you here in Vegas for.
Oh, I'm coming. I'll hit you up. We'll exchange numbers after this. I'll hit you up when I'm going to go to Vegas. I'm actually going to be talking to one of your neighbors in Vegas. Not that you would necessarily be on the same block, but Chris Kale is coming on the show on Sunday.
Oh, I love Chris. Yeah,
he's a great dude.
That's what I'm saying is, like, even though, Vegas is pretty small comparatively, but I live about 20 to 30 minutes away from Chris, but we're all still close.
Yeah.
And I think one thing I really love about it is the value of friendship here. People really value friendship. People go out of their way to see friends, which I was not used to.
Not in LA. Fucking not in LA, they do that.
If someone lives past the 405, that's the Great Wall of China, basically.
Oh, dude. But I understand why, and I'm sure you do too after living there for 15 years. Everything is 2 miles away in Los Angeles and takes 2 hours to get there. It's fucking insane. Yeah,
so I really love it here. I've found a gym that I love. I found friends that I love, my neighbors. I'm right next door to some of my favorite people. One of the bands that we're taking on tour, Infected Rain, their singer lives right next door to me. So we became really good friends.
That's amazing. That's a really cool story. I like that. I mean, I do know about the camaraderie in Vegas a little bit. Like one of our really good friends, Tall, who was working with the Palms, and we got friends over there, that the Maloofs and a bunch of stuff since we've been going there. Yeah. Oh, you know Tall too? Yeah, of course you do. Tall knows everyone.
From way back in the day.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Everyone knows Tall from back in the day, and he's still Tall. So
Hollywood or something, right?
It's Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, the camaraderie is still there. When I go there and visit, not even just the partying aspect, but like you said, like there's a lot of good people there, and different than LA. They actually kind of look out for each other and like kind of like help. It's not necessarily like, I mean, there's always a give and take with the relationship, I feel like, but not so bad like in LA where it can be just like, it's give and take right now, which means I'm just going to take it all and you're going to give it all. So like, which can happen.
Yeah, it can. I mean, that can happen anywhere, but
of course
I do think that this was something I was missing out of my life. And I didn't realize I was missing it until I found it here. And, we have dinner parties, movie nights. Sometimes we'll have movie nights at my house, and it'll be like Shannon Guns, Chad Gray, and then we've got the guys from Gemini Syndrome, Lena from Infected Rain, and like just all of our friends coming in, get to hang out with the guys in Five Finger Death Punch pretty often, watch fights with them, it's just awesome. I love it here.
The listeners and viewers right now just went like, how do I get an invite to that party? Because they're all like fans of all that. They're like, all my favorites in one room, just watching a movie. What the fuck?
Well, it was funny. A while ago, I was at Zoltan Bathory's house, and we were watching fights. The fights were on, but we were all like this on our phone because I don't know what was going on. And Zoe was like, "Imagine a fan thinking what it's like to go to one of these hangouts, and we're all just sitting here. Look, Zoe was.
You just bursted the bubble. You just told everyone it's exactly the same as every other gathering they go to.
Yeah, and someone's on their phone looking at tubs. Someone's shopping for sneakers. It's like looking.
Do you remember what fight were you guys watching?
It was one of the UFC.
Was it the
I think it was like
McGregor fight a couple weeks ago?
No,
Okay.
we weren't able to go there for that because we were out of town, but they did have a big party. But it was one of them just a couple weeks prior to that.
Okay.
And we're all just sitting there like, yeah, this tub looks great, Zoe. I like it. So that's what happens when we all get together, guys.
Well, yeah, it can be. And then there's other times where we end up drinking and, we don't look at our phones for once. That's always fun too. I want to get back to Raiders though, like Raider Nation. Let's get back to Raider Nation because this is awesome. When I was scrolling through your Instagram, I was like, okay, cool. And then I saw that, I was like, yes, this is going to be a great chat. What do you think the chance? What are we looking at this year though? Let's be. Are you a Raider fan that can be honest about the expectations?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we have to be. It's been several shitty years.
Most of my life, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I really loved last season. I thought it was great. One of my favorite players from Oregon, Marcus Mariota, he got to shine for a little bit because Derek Carr was out for a couple of games. Yeah. And Marcus came in and he did such a great job. I loved watching him play at Oregon. Really nicely. Yeah, and I think he might be getting traded, which I hope not, because I want to be able to see him in person. But I think next season will be pretty good. I think with a full roster and everyone kind of back in the game and fans in the stadium, I think fans in the stadium really, really helps. I was a professional athlete when I was much, much, much younger. And then throughout high school and
college. It couldn't have been that long ago. Stop doing that. It couldn't have been that long ago.
Thousands of years ago. I just understand that performing in front of, as musicians too, performing in front of an empty stadium, that'd be very difficult. You know that the camera's there, people are watching it on TV, but it's still not the same. Right. We did a live stream and it was not the same by any means.
I saw a little bit of that. I watched a little bit of that in preparation. I was going to ask you about that, but because I was talking to somebody else about this and I was just like, someone was talking about putting an asterisk on last year's NBA championships. And I was like, bullshit. That they've been in front of people their entire lives. For them to have to shift like that must have been a fucking pain in the ass.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, anybody in any profession that involves a crowd, last year was just a nightmare for. But I think with a full team, a full stadium, I think they're going to do great. I'm so excited also about Allegiant Stadium. It's incredible. They have a club, like club. They have.
I was like, wait, I'm so aging myself because I was just like, what the fuck is a club, dude?
No, I call it club because it's just like, the club.
Yeah, I like it. See, I say club like that. See, I'm so old and at the beginning I talked about it. I was just like, oh yeah, I was at the club having a martini. I meant the country club. I was not clubbing.
I know. I can't imagine going to a club here in Vegas and just being like, yeah.
I would feel like Owen Wilson in what was that movie? Week Pass or whatever, Hall Pass. And he's like, and he's got a shirt on just like this, and he's standing there doing the upright bass. That would be me at the club.
Yeah, that's me too. I'm like, how do I booty shake? Like all these girls are like twerking, and I'm all, do I do squats? Like, is that what?
I think you just got to bust. I think at this point you just got to bust out the old cheerleading moves and just
just ready, okay.
That would be amazing, though. I think if you just cleared the middle of the dance floor with some cheerleading moves, I would be pushing people back. I'm like, we got to watch this. Even if it wasn't you, Heidi, or just somebody else who just can really do some cheerleading moves, I think that the whole dance floor needs to move for people like that, and we get to watch a show.
That would be so fun. I would go to a club just for that. I'd get my old stunt partner and just I think he lives in Mesquite or somewhere 40, an hour maybe away. We'll just get him over here.
Yeah, just tell him to come down. Just get a couple more guys. Get a pyramid going. It'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah. Some basket tosses. Yeah. Can you tell I miss my cheer days?
I'm so glad because I want to talk a little bit more about that. But have you actually been at Allegiant Stadium?
I have not been inside yet. No, I've not been so incredibly blessed to do that. Our lawyer just posted pictures. He was here a couple weeks ago. He posted pictures that he got to go down on the green, and I'm green with envy. But I am planning on hopefully going on to some games when it all starts, if tickets are available and not $1 million.
Well, they'll be available. I can't talk about the price because I mean they did just have the soccer Gold Cup there, where USA beat Mexico right there in that stadium. I watched it a couple nights ago.
I didn't even know that. Wow.
Yeah, well, it's because the Olympics are going on, and America didn't make it to the Olympics in soccer. The men's league didn't, anyways. And
so they just played it here.
So they just kept it here and did the Gold Cup.
Oh, great. Well, and they, the Golden Knights. So I have gone to a couple hockey games, and those are insane.
I'll bet.
So once I moved here, I realized I have to be a part of, I have to get on that night train, choo choo, and part of the Golden Knights.
Was that a GNR? Was that a GNR reference right there?
Yeah, of course. But also the night train.
Yeah.
The Golden Knights. Both.
Yeah. I think both go hand in hand. I'm pretty sure it's what the song's about. So.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, they predicted it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm so excited to finally be able to go do that. Fingers crossed. I don't know when the season starts. Sometime
it's going to start. Yeah, and they got 17 games this year. So I don't know. I didn't look at the schedule if they got an extra home. If they're one of the teams that got an extra home game. I'm not sure exactly how that worked out, but I'm excited. I think I'm going to go to a preseason game with the Rams in a couple weeks here at LA to the SoFi, which I haven't been to SoFi yet. So I'm excited to go check that out.
Oh, yeah. See, that's another thing. So when the Rams came to LA, all of a sudden I was like, okay, I guess I need to be a Rams fan, but I didn't get to be. No. See, this is a diehard Raider fan that grew up. My entire family, it's generational Raider fan over here. Everyone's like, oh yeah, they keep going back and forth between Oakland, and I'm like, I don't care where they go. They could go to the fucking moon. I'm still Raider Nation. I don't give a fuck. Well, and I just got lucky enough that I moved to the same city that they did. So
that's so good.
I've been on the Raider Nation train for, it's been most of my adult life. Good. And you know what drew me to them at first? They're mascots.
Of course, they're the best.
That's what drew me to it at first, and then all of a sudden it was just kind of a lifestyle for me. And so,
dude, honestly, between you probably have similar taste in art, right? I mean, I would imagine at some point.
Yep.
They have hands down the best logo in football. There's it's not even debatable. Anyone tries to bring up another one to me, I'd be like, just look at silver and black and tell me that there's a better logo in fucking football. Exactly.
And honestly, that's what drew me in at first, and that's what's it's kept me, and it's iconic. You see that shield? It's iconic. You know exactly what it is. And just go
look at the history of the 80s when they used to win Super Bowls with everyone partying the night before. That's fucking amazing.
Exactly. See, I knew there was a reason.
Yeah, there was a reason why you said yes to coming on the show. And
that's what it was. Well, cheers. Hopefully a good season.
Hopefully a good season. Yeah. Well, I mean, I got to be honest. I'm hopeful as a Raiders fan, but I'm also very real. And I think as a whole, the team should be better this year. And I love John Gruden so much. But if he doesn't get it to the playoffs this year, he's got to go, unfortunately. I mean, it's just I have to be that guy. And I love John Gruden. I was so happy when he came back. I love Del Rio, too, because Del Rio got us to the playoffs for the first time in like 15 years at the time. And I was like, yeah, this guy's fucking awesome. But they're like, oh, we're going to replace him. I'm like, why are you going to replace him? And then they said John Gruden. I was like, okay, let's see if he can do that. And now it's been enough time. He's got to at least make the playoffs. They had 8-8 last season, beat the Chiefs, the only team to fucking beat the Chiefs legit all year. So it's promising. But
that was a great game, too. That was an incredible game.
It was a shootout between Carr and Mahomes. It was a straight-up shootout. Yeah. It was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really – that was a great game. I think, I could be totally wrong, but I think Urban Meyer could do a nice job with the Raiders. I don't know.
I don't
think
know.
so.
I'm not saying I have the answer to replace or anything like that. I'm just saying you got to expect something, and I think a playoff berth has to happen. I'm not claiming it's straight Super Bowl this year, but it's got to be a playoff berth.
It's our year.
Yeah. Now that's speaking like a true Raiders fan. At the end of every year, next year's
our year. Yep. Every time.
Fuck yeah, I do it every year. I love that we're talking sports, though, and we got a little bit into your cheerleading because I was really curious about that. I was looking at, and you also did track and field when you were over at Utah. Was it Southern Utah, that university that you got a scholarship to?
Yeah, SUU, yeah.
And when did the cheerleading and track start for you? Because it looks like you were doing the high jump, right? That's the one with the horizontal bar. You jump over backwards on it, yeah?
Yeah, that's the one. You try to float. Yeah, that's it. I started doing track when I was about 7. So they had USATF, they have all sorts of different age groups. And my parents put me in when I was very young. My dad was a track athlete. He was also a musician,
really?
Not a cheerleader, but he was a track athlete. And in high school, they used to call him Iron Man. So he did wrestling, track, anything he did, he was just really great at. And so as a kid, they were like, oh, let's just see if she likes track. And I loved it. And I, starting from very young, I started with like shot put. I did all sorts of different things. And then as I got older, I became a heptathlete. In heptathlon, if I remember correctly, it's high jump, long jump, the 100-meter hurdles, 200-meter dash, shot put, and the 800. Jeez. And that's 6.
How many? What is hept?
7. That's 7.
7. Okay. I should know that. It's like my favorite number. And
it's been
shot put. Shot put's the one like this, right? The ball.
Yeah.
Dude, so you were doing that?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, when you bust them out like that, you do have some guns. I was like, I was like, you're an attractive woman, like, cheerleader, a little, athletic. I wasn't thinking like, well, I'm thinking of like shot putters. I'm thinking of these like big burly dudes or even big burly ladies that I see. I mean, the Olympics are happening right now. There's some burly ladies doing some of that stuff.
Yeah, and that's the norm, to be honest. But I was born a freak. I don't get it. I'm also only 5'4", but I could jump 5'10" in high jump. So I don't know. I got it from my dad.
You're only 5'4"? Because we haven't. We haven't properly met outside of this. This is virtual. Like I think we've been on a couple festival dates together and stuff, and maybe in passing, but never had a conversation or met each other in person. So I'm kind of surprised because when I look at the videos, the pictures, everything, you seem, I don't know, I would have guessed you were about 5'10", taller, blonde female,
right.
like.
I get that. It's so funny because we get that all the time because people are so used to seeing us on stage where we look like giants to them.
Oh, of course. And, well, I'm only 5'6", so I know exactly how that goes.
So when you meet them in person, they're like, oh, you're so much smaller than I thought you were. But yeah, I mean, I'm not like short and I'm not tall. Mm-hmm. I'm like right smack dab in the middle. And then I got a scholarship to compete in college and I made it through my freshman year into my sophomore year. My sophomore year, I broke my back pole vaulting. So
what do you mean broke your back? So I hear people say break their back. This is another thing that I hear. I broke my back. Well, there's a lot of bones in your back. So what do you mean you broke your back?
I broke my L5.
Okay.
I broke off one of the little, you know how it looks like Mickey Mouse ears?
Yeah.
I broke one of those off and it was from long jumping. So there's this step, and this is boring, but there's a step in the long jump. Right before you jump, it's a really short step. It's called the penultimate step. And that
penultimate?
Yeah, penultimate step. And that step gave me a stress fracture that I didn't know I had. And then I ended up, and you also do that in pole vaulting too. And I ended up breaking it. And I landed and I was like, well, something's not right. And I hurt my sciatic nerve. I have permanent nerve damage from it, but it's okay. You know, if I hadn't done that, who knows if I would have, been serious about pursuing my music career. So I had a great run. I really did. Pun intended. I had a great run, and I loved
until that last was a penultimate step.
Penultimate
step. That was the one that did it.
Yeah, that's the one. So, but I loved it, and I still got to. They still paid for my schooling, and I would try and compete still, but it was not nearly as good. And I got to still be on the cheer squad too. So it ended up being fine.
Yeah, everything worked out for a reason. But when we're talking about going to Russia, 17, your parents are stoked, they're going with you. You're like the oldest of like 6 kids or some shit like that, right? So where are your siblings at? I mean, your parents are with you. Did the whole family go, or they back at home?
No, they stayed in Utah.
Well, I mean, I guess you have a small army. Your parents don't really need to worry about it, right?
Yeah, I mean, my sister was old enough to help take care of things, and I'm sure they had someone else come help. But yeah, it is a small army, that's for sure. I mean, my dad's the middle of 12 kids. I'm the oldest of 6. It's just, we have a giant fucking family. So anyone needs babysitting, someone's always
I do.
available.
My 4.5-year-old is constantly, I need him to get it away from me. So
call the Mormons. They got you.
Well, it's funny. My brother, I have 2 older brothers. One of them has 6 kids, and that's foreign as fuck to us. I was like, why did you do that? I love every single one of them. They're awesome kids, but it was like, it was wild for them to have 6, and yeah, not Mormon, but you said it. You're Mormon. You were. So I mean, you were right. So you were born and raised into that, and then. I want to say obviously, but maybe it's not so obviously that you're no longer Mormon.
No, I'm not.
What do they call that? Are you Jack Mormon though? Do you still like use it when you need it?
No. So Jack Mormon is like Mormons who go to church but still, drink their butcher baby's wine.
Exactly.
Or drink coffee, because you can't drink coffee as Mormons either. But no, I got married at a very young age. I got married at 20 years old in the Mormon temple and divorced like a year later. And I realized right when that happened that it was just not for me. I always knew it wasn't for me, but I tried just because it was, it was a social norm, and it really, I just never really gravitated towards it. And I still don't. And most of my family actually has left the church since that. So, But my immediate family, yeah. So my mom's no longer Mormon. Most of my family's no longer Mormon. But I support whoever wants to do whatever the fuck they want.
Absolutely. I will subscribe to that. Like that's for sure. Like, especially these days, man, I don't give a flying fuck what you want to do. Just everyone be good to each other and we'll be just fine. You can believe and do whatever you want. Just don't be a dick. That's the bottom line.
You know what's so funny you say that? On my computer right here, there is a sticker that says, "Don't be a dick." It's a giant sticker like that big. I just put it there because it's funny. I'm not a dick. I don't have to remind myself not to be a dick. But
you have to remind yourself every time you go on a live Twitch feed, don't be a dick.
Like,
don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick. Yeah. That's my childhood wrapped up in a nutshell there.
I love it. We could get into that in fucking greater detail, I'm sure, and I hope we can do that in person sometime down the road. But I'll keep this thing moving a little bit here. We could talk a little bit about the tour you got coming up, the Butcher Babies versus Goliath tour. I went back and listened to the Goliath record, and and I was listening to it. I was like, there's some fucking great songs on here. The production is really cool too. I like that it was very thrashy. It came out. When did it come out? 2013, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it was 2013. We were making a very different sounding record in 2013, Hail to the King. That had a little bit more of a polished sound to it. You guys in 2013 had this thrash record that really kind of threw me back to some of like the 90s like Megadeth sound, like production-wise. And I thought it was like this really cool thing. And I got to be honest, I didn't listen to it at the time. I went back and listened to it recently in preparation for this. And I was like, I'm not the kind of guy that's going to sit up here and bullshit and be like, oh, I've been a fan since day one. I love everything you guys have always done. I'm not going to lie like that. I love what you guys do. I think it's awesome. I've heard about you over the years, but I had to go back and listen to really deep. I've heard songs on the radio. I'm more of the surface kind of fan. And then I wanted to ingratiate myself into what you guys do before you came on here. And that record is fucking great. Are you guys going to be playing? So are you playing all of those songs and then some more?
We're going to play all those songs. And then, we have a bunch of new songs that we've been releasing over the past, since last October. Mm-hmm. That we'll play those too. And also some fan favorites. The thing about this album, the reason we wanted to, it's not like 10 years old or anything yet. The band's, now 12, but we just did our
Why did you do that quietly?
Like it's actually 12 years, wink. Just because we have it's like 10-year anniversary. 10 years.
I got, yeah, okay. I forgot about the one. Yeah.
Yeah, because we didn't really get to, do our 10-year thing.
No, you guys got screwed out of that. So I think everyone can understand that.
Yeah, so when we were doing our live stream in 2020, we wanted to do something special. People love this album. We don't play it anymore. We play maybe one song off of it, and maybe we'll pull another one in for a tour as a special treat here and there, but never all together. And so we did it for our live stream, and the response was insane. People were so excited to hear these songs. Vocally, I'm a completely different vocalist than I was in 2013. I used to smoke, all this stuff that really was bad for my vocal cords. And now I sound way different. So I'm excited to go out and show people these songs, and with, the new and evolved sound of Butcher Babies. I mean, that was our first album, and we were pure infants at that time, and so for us, it's exciting to go and do this. And maybe we'll do a live album. I don't know. We'll see.
Ooh.
The real 10-year anniversary. I don't know.
I would love to hear that. And I'll tell you why. I'm so glad you already went into it, is your vocal transitions over the years. Like, I mean, Lilith came out in 2017. Great record. It was, you guys got to finish that tour, right? Because before everything happened, you guys were getting back in like 2018. You guys had a similar path as ours. I think we released Stage in 2016, 2017 as well. We finished up in 2018 with the full intention of coming home, writing an album, getting back out there, and then everything else happened.
Yes, that's exactly what happened. So 2019, we were in the studio writing and recording, and we recorded a ton of shit, all the stuff that's coming out now, obviously with the full intention of 2020 not being a complete dumpster fire. Yeah. But it's crazy cool, because if you listen to Goliath and then you listen to the new stuff, you can totally hear that, it's the same band, but they've grown up quite a bit. I mean, there's a lot of time in between those, a lot of personal growth, a lot of, just growing as musicians, as we do when we get all that practice and perseverance. And so I'm excited about going and playing these songs, not just for the fan base, because, they're excited too to hear all these songs that they haven't heard since, Mayhem 2013 or before that, or, they haven't heard these songs since then. And so, but it's also for me, because I get to go and, show how these songs are really supposed to sound.
I love that. So, that's so cool.
Yeah. And the production, as you brought up, it was we really wanted that thrashy sound, the sound that we grew up, jumping in pits to. Right. That's what we wanted. And Josh Wilbur produced it. He did an amazing job with it. But I am excited to give it a new flavor.
I can't wait to hear that, though. And I do hope you guys do the live version of that, because to your point on the vocal, just for yourself, we'll get into the evolution of your voice. You say you talked about taking care of it and not smoking anymore as one thing, and it seems, well, of course you shouldn't smoke. You use your instrument as your vocal cords. It's probably not the best idea. But what are some of the other things you learned along the way? I mean, you've been singing for a long time now. We mentioned the band before. You guys are on the Sunset Strip with a cover band for a long time. You've done a bunch of talk radio stuff. You've used this thing right here, your majority of your life. What are your techniques? What have you learned along the ways? What have you learned to do and what not to do?
Well, I learned to drink water I was
that's a huge one. That's a huge one people don't realize. I mean, I know from our singer, myself, everybody, I drink a lot at night, but during the day, like all day long, gallons of water.
Yeah, I have this big jug that I carry with me, and I have to at least drink 2 of those a day now.
Nice.
That's a huge thing. I used to be back to back to back, coffee. And then
just coffee and cigarettes and straight into singing. I love So that, but I mean, that will give you a cool sound for a while. It'll thrash your vocal cords, but it'll give you a cool sound for a while.
Yeah. You know, I started noticing my stamina wasn't as good. Getting into my scream was a lot harder. And one day, I mean, I was at a show. I was at a, Corn and Stone Sour show in Los Angeles. It was June 21st, 2017.
Wow, look at the memory on that. That's fucking impressive.
It's like a birthday, you know?
I gotcha.
I was outside having a cigarette with a friend, and we were talking for some odd reason. We're like, we should not smoke. And I just like, you know what? I'm not going to anymore. And I went home and I was like, that's it. I'm not going to smoke anymore. And I had tried before, but I had a goal in mind now where I needed to make my vocals better. This is my career. I can't fuck around with this. So that's what I kept thinking about every time I would crave a cigarette. But I learned that I didn't need that crutch. You never need that crutch, especially as a screamer. A lot of screamers think it'll hoarse up their voice and make it better, but that's not really the case. It ruins it. And so I learned that. I learned, drinking water, eating proper foods, all sorts of different things. I don't drink before a show. I'll have maybe a little bit of Jaeger on stage just to loosen up
it's a party. You got to have fun up there too. I don't drink before shows for a different reason. We could get into that later when I just ask me about my first time in Brazil. But
I'm pretty sure your story is probably like so many other stories. I mean, look, we've all been there. And yeah. I mean, it's just, I think more so than anything, I just kind of grew up. I started this band when I was 24.
Oh, okay.
I'm 36 now. And, I did a lot of stupid stuff.
Wait. You're 36. When's your birthday?
April 17th, 1985.
I'm a little older than you. I was just doing the math. Yes, and it took me that long to figure that out. That's right. I was just like, am I older or younger? Shit. Yep, I'm just barely older.
We're all the same.
Yeah.
Once you pass 30, it's just.
Oh, I totally agree. Yeah. Every time it just doesn't matter after 30. It doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just like, Carla's, like 9 years older than me, but we're all the same,
Wow.
So.
I didn't realize there was a age difference at all, to be honest, and let alone for it to be 9 years. Because I know you pretty much started the band, and she, if I'm not mistaken, I was listening again, the Lead Singer Syndrome. You guys kind of spelled this out on that podcast. Everyone could go check that out. But if you want to elaborate on it a little bit here, like she was filling an ad basically, and you had this band.
Yeah, so that was the first band that we were in together. So there were 5 girls that fronted that band. It was insane.
You kept saying that band, by the way, and you said it on the podcast over there, and I'm not sure why. Are you not wanting to say the name of that band?
No.
I have no reference to like what that band was and why you don't want to do that anymore. So that's hilarious to me. Okay, you can tell me. You can tell me off camera later.
Terrible. It's so terrible. And I don't want to embarrass the other girls that were in that band and have real lives now.
Oh man.
But
yeah, we don't need to go down that road. I was just curious because it seemed kind of obvious when I was listening. I was like, they're purposely not saying the name of that band at this point, right? Like, okay, I got it.
You nailed it. Yep. So Carla answered a MySpace ad. This is when MySpace was popping, and she answered a MySpace ad, and she came to the audition, and she showed up with her Corvette and fringe boots, and I was all, who's this girl? And
what kind of Corvette was this, by the way? Because I'm picturing, I remember in my 20s, I didn't have no money for the fucking Corvette.
Yeah, it was like a 76.
Nice.
Like she only drives Corvettes. She's one of those.
Wow.
So I want to race her. She only drives old Corvettes, and I want to get a new one, and I want to race and see. I mean, I'll beat her, but
so there's no competitive nature between the two of you at all, obviously.
Not at all. No, we actually there's really not in real life. You know, we joke around about it and stuff, but there's really not. She's been my best friend since I met her. So that's when she showed up in that outfit and with that car, I was like, this girl's either going to be my best friend or my mortal enemy. And luckily we became best friends, and we decided we wanted to do something original. And so we created Butcher Babies. She called some dude she knew who ended up being our guitar player, Henry. He's still in the band, and everything kind of came together organically. And the first time that we played, it was like magic. It was wild. But, you know, it is pretty cool that 12 years later we can sit here and be like, yeah, I just started some little band on the Sunset Strip with my best friend, and you know, toured the world now several times. And it's wild to think about. And it's also wild to think that, you know, two females can share a lead singer role,
right?
You know, and that's something we
two
really
lead singers in general. I mean, male or female is that's kind of a unicorn on its own for it to work. But then you add in, you know, females in this genre of music that you guys have chosen too. I mean, it's becoming more the norm now, and I appreciate that. I love it. I mean, but especially years ago, I mean, screaming too, like that. I mean, there was a few before, but it wasn't really well known, you know?
Yeah, it wasn't. It definitely was a double-edged sword. A lot of people it piqued their interest because they're like, what could this be about? And then other people wrote it off immediately, like, no. Like, one chick's bad enough. Two chicks, not doing it. I
thought the exact opposite. I was like, one chick's is pretty cool. Two chicks, now we're talking.
See, I like that mentality. And the thing is it was unique. It was different and unique. And I think that that's really what stuck out. And I'm grateful for these last 12 years where we were able to grow up together, basically live in a tin submarine, driving down the freeway and, you know, going all over the world together and breaking down barriers. And we've done a lot together, and it's pretty cool. And one thing that we always wanted to kind of show the world is that females can work together and it's fine. You know,
Go figure. We only get to see the ones that don't work out. You know what I mean? You don't tell you about the ones that work out too often.
Yeah. And, you know, being a cheerleader for so many years, I know exactly how it is, you know, in a situation where there's a lot of girls and a lot of female energy. And that's just not what I wanted to promote. I wanted to promote the fact that we can work and can be successful and we can lift each other up. And I think that that's one of the most important things that Butcher Babies can represent, is showing that, you know, queens straighten each other's crowns. We don't need to compete against each other. And I think,
oh, that's my first time. Did you come up with that? That's the first time I've heard that one. I like that.
I did not come up with that, actually. I was this was several years ago, and there's one female in this industry who's been very vocal about how much she does not like me, and I'm okay with that, but she's the only one.
Who is this? Who is this? Whoa. I need to know who you're talking about, because I don't know who you're talking about.
She threatened to, like, break my jaw on a podcast.
For what reason?
For no reason.
For no reason?
Like, literally no reason. I have no idea. She says I called her a cunt on YouTube, and I'm like, I don't even use YouTube. Like, what do you mean? Are you sure it wasn't a fucking doppelganger or a fake page? But I have no idea. She just has issues. She's been around the scene for almost a million years. So, but
I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna go Google search this beef afterward, because I know you're not gonna give me your name right now. So I'm just gonna have to go figure it out later.
When we get done, I'll fill you in. I'm sure a lot of people who.
I'm sure everyone watching this right now already knows.
Yeah. Well, she. You know, it was this big, it went into this big, all over the metal news. It went everywhere.
Oh,
like,
really?
She said all sorts of mean things. And Nita Strauss called me, and all my girlfriends were
Nita.
like,
I love Nita.
Oh yeah. Nita's been one of my best friends since I moved to LA. Like, I met her when she was doing my makeup at a shoot. Like, both
really?
of us are not in music. Yeah. Well, she was in music, but not.
Yeah. She was with the Iron Maidens at that time, I imagine, right?
I think this was even before Iron Maidens.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
You've known her a while then.
Yeah, so we've been super close for a very long time, and she called me and she was like, don't let that girl get to you. Like, queens straighten each other's crowns. And I was like,
it was Nita who said that?
Yes, it was Nita.
I'm going to text her. I'm going to text her right after this and say, I just heard about the queens need to straighten each other's crowns comment, because that's, I like that.
And on that really, you know, that I've always thought that way, but the way that she put it just made it so aha.
Right.
You know, of course, like I don't need to let this woman, you know, talk down to me. I can ignore this and I can lift my friends up and my friends can lift me up. And that's what we do. In this industry, there's so many people that tell you, no, 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 no. Us girls, we stick together. Us girls, this is our club. This is our, you know, when no one else believed in us, we believed in each other. And that's how, for real, it was with Nita too. She used to come to all of our shows. I remember our very first tour. She was like seeing us out the door. You know, this is like, these are the things that friends should do with each other.
Right.
And you know, in the same industry, we don't need to bring each other down. We really just need to bring each other up, lift each other up. There's enough trolls out there.
That must have been tough. I mean, on that, we don't need to harp on it too much, but it just brought something to my attention there. Like the fact that you did it in the metal genre, hard rock genre, however you want to be classified, as a female. I mean, even just as a male, especially in the past, I think it's gotten a lot better now, but in the past, the metal genre was very competitive. Like, it really wasn't, like, even with the guys, it really wasn't like, let's help each other out kind of thing when we started out. It was heavy competition pretty much at all times. And so you already had that competition going on, and then you're a new female fronted band with that. I mean, that's a double-edged sword right there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we were really, we dealt with a lot when we first started, and I can successfully say now that there's not anything that anybody could say that would break my stride, because I've heard it all. Right. I've heard everything. And honestly, I feel like because I grew such a thick skin at the very beginning, I've been able to succeed, because I could have at any point been like, oh man, metal sucks, said what? You know, it's just, then I realized that.
I love that you just like, yeah, like they said what? Like, it's so funny. I mean, I don't even remember what those were called when we were starting out. I mean, I was 18 years old. It was 2003, and it was a different time. There was some of those dirt magazines or sheets or whatever you want to call them, or whatever they were. I honestly don't know. And you'd see them and bum you out for a second, right? And then you're like, why the fuck do I care what this guy thinks?
Yeah, I have my Facebook memories, and I love to look at it every day just to kind of, if I said something shitty, of course, delete it. But look at it every day and just see where my mentality was, 10 years ago. And I looked at, there was something.
You use it like a diary?
Yeah, I mean, I look at it to see, because it has the memories.
It's really smart. I'm new to social media. I'm brand fucking new to social media. So I was like,
then you're not going to have anything to look back on.
I've got nothing to look back on.
That's okay, though. Honestly, it's probably better off that way. But I looked through, and there was, several months ago, I was like, why would somebody, and this was when we first started gaining recognition, and like Revolver magazine's on board, and all these, liquid metal, and all this stuff starting to happen. And it happened very fast. Once it started, it was like, pew, like someone lit a torch. And I was like, why would someone talk down about someone else's dreams? I put that as my status. And I'm like, oh, you have so much to learn, young Heidi. Oh, buckle up.
Yeah. You respond to yourself like
I should, actually. You should.
People would watch. I'd be like, did she respond to herself 10 years ago? That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah, that's all I have is bad ideas. So just make sure you sleep on it first. That's always my rule.
Just filtering out all these ideas.
That's my rule. No, I every night I'm like, oh, that was a great idea. Voice note, everything. Listen back to it in the morning. I'm like, really wasn't that great of an idea.
Mine usually happens when I'm like an hour and a half into a gummy.
Nice. Oh, totally.
And I have to text myself the idea.
But sometimes like in the moment, especially when you're talking about gummies or getting high, you're like, in the moment, this is fucking awesome. Like, I am a genius. In your head, you're high and you're like, I am a fucking genius. And then you go back to it and you're like, what the fuck was I thinking?
I'm like, that'll get me canceled.
That might be why it's genius. Anything genius, I have a theory. Anything genius these days is getting fucking canceled.
Well, the other night we had this idea.
Not anything. Wait a minute. I don't want to get canceled. Not anything getting canceled.
No.
Some things are for the better. Some things are for the better. Okay.
No, it's for a Twitch show. I'm talking about maybe like eating a gummy and like right as you pop it, you go on Instagram Live. You're like, okay, 45 minutes. Meet me on Twitch. People come to Twitch and they give us things to talk about, objects or ideas or anything, and just sit there and do like, and we want to call it Highly Unacceptable with Heidi and Henry. So that came up while we were high, and I'm like, I think
that one's a good one. That one's a good one. I would subscribe and follow that one. That's awesome.
Then I'm like,
at first you said, you take the gummy and you wait like 45 minutes. I'm like, well, that's what I do on my show. But then when you incorporated it being on Twitch and them giving you improv, basically like almost whose line is it anyway? I'm like, okay, that's next level right there. I like that.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't smoke weed, but I ingest it. I eat it, and it is something that's new for me, and I'm totally open about it. But I don't want to be labeled as like a stoner because I'm not. But at the same time, I love eating weed. and
that'll be the blabbermouth quote right there.
I love eating weed. Yeah, I can't wait, man. They're the best one-liners.
They're my favorite. Oh, I actually at this point like going back to what we were talking about earlier, you get a little upset here and there, but now I just read it and I'm just like, I love it. I think it's just fucking. Whatever's stirring up the pot, man. This is fun. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. I just give it a big LOL. I'm like, cute.
No, but I love that you say you're just getting into it and you're only ingesting it when we're talking about weed. I'm the same way. I'm not a stoner. I mean, I was for a long time. Through my 20s, it did not agree with me. For whatever reason, I would still try and go back to it. Just wouldn't agree with me. In the last 2 years, we befriended each other again, and I've been fully into it, and it's made it so nice to be in a legal state for it because I can go to a dispensary. I know what I'm getting. I can scientifically figure out what high I want. It's not the stigma is got to be gone. If anyone goes into a dispensary, they would understand that there's absolutely nothing wrong with this, and you can totally do whatever the fuck you want. But anyways, not to get too philosophical on drugs. Let's get back to some music here.
Okay.
Let's talk a little bit more about the tour and the progression of your guys' sound, because I agree with everything you were saying. I was listening and nodding my head because I was like, yeah, that it's very similar in I could see a lot of similarities, honestly, as a musician, seeing that growth. And one thing I wanted to say is there's 2 songs that you guys released. It was Last Dance and Bottom of the Bottle, right?
Yeah.
Both are fantastic songs. They're, to me, and you correct me if I'm wrong, seem like they're moving in a different direction for the band in a lot of respects. And I think it's really great. I see the growth in songwriting immensely. Like I mean, nothing wrong with the other songs, but when you see someone evolve into a songwriter and get confident into it, if you've been there and you can see it, it's kind of like, oh, this is what's going on right here. This is really cool. They're really coming into a moment here. And I think it's beautiful. And I just wanted to ask you, is that all the stuff that you guys had recorded when you were about to release a record and you've just been releasing it as singles now? Or are you creating a new record? What's moving on here with the evolution of Butcher Babies?
Well, we've always been pretty diverse. We've had soaring choruses with screaming or all singing. We want our metalheads to pit and cry, basically. So When it came to this, I guess you could say evolution, new sound, moving in a different direction, sure, some of it, yeah. We were experimenting, and I came from I was classically trained as a singer, and I started screaming in my 20s.
Shit.
Yeah, and so I wanted to do a little bit more singing, and I felt like singing more. It just was something that I wanted to do at the time, and I have to do that for myself. And so when writing Bottom of a Bottle, I remember we wrote the music, and I was outside walking around listening to it over and over again, and it hit me. And I was going through a moment. I was going through a moment where we had just left our label. We were just kind of like, you're always hot or not, in the industry.
Right.
You go through bouts of being hot or not. And we were in a moment of not. And I was just like, man, like, do we ever get it back? It was just kind of a real vulnerable moment. And you can really hear it in that song because it's about, going and sitting at the end of a bar and you're drinking and you're telling all the other kids about all the accolades of your life and everything. And that's really what I wanted to portray. It's a snapshot of time. Mm-hmm. And that's what we were going through at that moment. And so you can really hear that with Bottom of a Bottle. But you can hear that with all of our music. It is a snapshot of time and what we're feeling. Sometimes I want to scream. Sometimes I want to sing. And so, at that moment, May of 2019, I was in a moment of where I really just wanted to sing about my emotions. And so we did. And I'm very grateful for it because Bottom of Bottle is one of the songs that I'm most proud of in my entire career. I'm so proud of that. And I love it. It's one of my favorite songs. Something.
I mean, I will say after going through the catalog a bit over the last week or so, I would agree. I think it's one of your guys' best songs that you've put out. I absolutely listen to a lot of the stuff and not poo-pooing the other stuff or anything by any stretch of the term, but it's like a lot of maturity, a lot of evolution, a lot of coming into you is what I hear in it.
And that is exactly what I feel like we portray when we release, new material. Now, releasing singles versus a giant album, one thing I'm so excited about being independent now is releasing singles one at a time. We may go through the whole album because one thing that I was really bummed about with our last albums, our whole catalog, is that each album gets 4 singles maybe, if even that.
Yeah.
And you put your heart and your soul into every single song, every note, everything. And our song,
I love where you're going with this. I love it.
Yeah, our album Lilith, he didn't use any auto-tune or anything. We had to hit those notes. We worked with Steve Evans, and he is a perfectionist, and I loved it for all the songs.
Okay.
So I really dove in, and I worked so hard on these songs and writing and sitting with them and crying and figuring it out. Each song deserves more than just to be number 8 on the album.
Deep tracks.
You know what I mean?
Deep tracks.
Yeah. Each song deserves more than that. I don't like having filler on our albums. I want each song to be, single worthy.
And to your point, that's with that amount of time and effort you put into it, not everyone hears it. But to you, when you listen back to your art, those aren't filler songs. You know exactly what was going on in your mind and what you were doing. You can remember the moment you recorded those parts in those songs.
Absolutely. And I love being able to give each of our new songs a platform,
right,
a life, its own merch, its own, its own time to breathe. The last song we released, which was Last Dance, I wrote that song about a moment in college where I used to go into the mountains in southern Utah with 3 friends. We'd park our cars with the lights on around each other, lay on our hoods, and just talk about what we wanted to do with our lives. And
it sounds very Wayne's World and awesome, but
it's totally Wayne's World. It was such a beautiful moment. And so I wrote, a lot of those lyrics about that moment. And it really took me back to those beautiful memories. And so you hear a lot of a lot of growth, yes, in the new stuff, but going back to bringing Goliath out on this tour with us, it is nice to bring these songs back to life. We start rehearsals in like a week, and we leave so soon. I'm nervous.
Yeah. Are you nervous?
Yeah, I'm nervous because it's been 3
so
years.
long. Yeah, 3. I mean, I don't ask me when we start saying we're about to go, because it's been a long time for us too. So I think I'm not going to be nervous, but I don't know. Like now you're making me think I'm going to be nervous.
It's hard to say. I mean, I'm counting down the days. I'm so excited, but I'm nervous because, like, am I going to remember how I do this on the stage?
Everyone, yeah, no, I agree with you there. Like the fear is like, can I even do that again? Like it's been a while.
Yeah, and I think we'll be all right. And
you'll be just fine. I have all the confidence.
I've been rehearsing on my own and everything, but
let me ask you a fucking really personal, funny question. When you rehearse alone, when you're like in your bedroom, there's no one else there. I'll be honest about how I do it after you answer the question. When you're rehearsing, do you actually like rock out a little bit?
No. No, only if it's a full band thing.
Oh yeah. Okay. No. I don't mean like you're not going full out, but like you're like just like checking like, can the neck still work? Like, can I still do this?
Oh, that sure, yeah. I get that just listening to the radio.
Yeah. But I mean, like just like a little bit. You're like, all right, like you're not doing stage moves, and we'll get into some of your stunts here in a second too. But like not full. You're not jumping on the couch like it's a fucking riser or anything like that. But like just like getting a little bit of movement. Like there's rehearsing with the bass where I'm sitting on a stool like this, and then there's like, wait a minute, I can do it on the stool. I've been doing it on the stool for a while now. I got to put the strap on, and I got to, which sounded really sexual when I just said it that way. Anyways. But you put the guitar strap on, you got to stand up and play it a little bit. You got to get into it just a little bit. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean.
Or you just made me look like a complete fucking loser, and everyone's picturing Johnny Christ rocking out in a bedroom by himself with fucking.
Sitting in his underwear.
Why'd you have to put that part in there?
No,
Everyone was thinking it.
I use a chair, and I put one leg on a chair. I do my normal, like, if I'm going to scream and everything, but
because you got to work about your projection, right? Like this is no bullshit. You got to, so like when you coming down like this, you have to project a certain way, and and you're, as you said before, which I didn't know, classically trained. That's awesome. I had no idea.
Yeah, it was my parents. They're musicians, so
they're musicians too. So you just followed like right in the. They're musicians and athletes, and you're like, yep, that's for me. I'm going to be a musician and an athlete.
Yeah, I mean, in my parents' living room, even to this day, half of it's a living room, and there's like the TV and everything. The other half's a studio. So they have an electronic drum set. They have all the instruments. In fact, everybody else in my family plays an instrument except for me.
Have you written any songs for Butcher Babies in their area?
No.
Okay.
No. We'll go and we'll play. Like if we're visiting, we'll play a little bit in there, but it's not really like.
Do you play with your family though? You said like everyone's a musician. Do you play with your family? Yeah. You guys, what kind of songs are you guys doing? Like, is everyone same like-minded on genres, or what's the family's tune?
They're not really like-minded on genres. My mom actually, when I was a kid, found a Korn CD in my closet and broke it in front of my face. Now she loves Korn. But,
which one?
I think it was Freak on a Leash.
Okay. No, why did I say? I just said okay. Like, okay. At least it wasn't Follow the Leader. Like, no, I don't know.
Wasn't issues, Jesus. Yeah, but now my mom like loves metal. It's so funny. She loves, like, we toured with Marilyn Manson. She was like, wow, he's so talented. And like she loves metal now. She'll like listen. And my brother caught a funny video of her listening to some metal while she was doing taxes. So yeah.
Awesome. Kudos
silly.
to mom.
Mom. My brother's a beatboxer. One of my brothers, he's a beatboxer, and he's an incredible singer, and he does loops and all this stuff. He's like one of the best I've ever heard. He's so talented. It's unreal. I don't know where he came from. My whole family's really musically inclined, though. They all play an instrument. Everybody sings. My sister had a band before I did. My two sisters had a band together, actually, when I was in college.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, my whole family's been like this. My dad's family, like I said, he's the middle of 12, huge extended family. Whenever we get together, whether it's a wedding, a funeral, just a reunion, whatever, it's always music. My dad, they had a band growing up, my dad's family. And so they're a family band. And so we grew up.
Did they
singing.
travel? Do you mean like that kind of family band?
Oh, they just play together.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, but they all play different instruments. And so they just made a band. And,
that's awesome.
They have these classic songs that they like to sing that I knew as a kid growing up. And, my grandpa would teach us these songs and we'd all sing them and we'd all line up around the microphone, all of us cousins. I mean, this was when I was young and there were like 10, 15 cousins. Now there's over 100. So I don't even know who's related to me anymore. but yeah, so my whole...
And that's over one generation? When you really think of it, I'm like...
The shepherds go ham, man.
That's a lot of fucking numbers in one generation. That's quite a jump.
Well, yeah, it is pretty much one generation. Yeah, it's crazy. But, that's how I grew up. I grew up around instruments. Even though I didn't play, awesome. I spent time focusing and honing on the sports. But I always sang with my dad's family. And it was just something that I always loved. And so, they put me in singing lessons and I took piano for a small amount of time. I could not pluck out piano now, but back in the day I was okay at it. So you don't use
the piano for warm-ups or songwriting at all? No. That's surprising. You should go back to it. Not like you need to listen to me on anything, but like pianos, I do not play piano. Never have my entire life. I mean, little bit because I could play chopsticks or something like that on it, but now I like having it there to try to find new notes because I know where they are here, but when I want to try and find something different, I like to play around on the piano a little bit.
Right, and I can do that with if I'm looking for a harmony, like if I'm looking for the third or the fifth, mm-hmm. I can pluck it out with that and be like, oh, this would be a pretty harmony with this.
Awesome. And so you do use it a little bit for that. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, but when it comes to like, bling, like I can't do it.
We're not going to be seeing any Beethoven out of you anytime soon.
Not in this lifetime. Sorry.
I'm more of a Chopin guy because he just sounds drunk when he's playing, so I love that. Not that I've actually heard him. I just realized I was like, no one. I haven't heard a recording of Chopin. I've heard a bunch of people play his stuff.
Yeah, of course.
Which I love. Did you know that Chopin, I don't know why, I'm going off on a tangent here. I hope you're okay with that, Heidi. Did you know that Chopin actually, his notations, he wrote in those stumbles, like it's actually written in everything. So when you're hearing other pianists play Chopin, they're playing his notations, those stutters, those are actually notated out. Every little bit of it he has notated out.
Wow.
Yeah, he's my favorite. He's my favorite composer, because two things. He's the only pianist that's considered a composer, and he only did piano because it was so one of those things. He was a freak. He was an absolute fucking freak, and it was way ahead of his time. Brilliant,
So even if it was a small accident, it's still noted. That's amazing.
Right.
Happy accidents. We're all Bob Ross here. Happy accidents.
Yeah, but my question to that too, though, was like, how did you? So if there was a happy accident, he had a quick enough memory and a quick enough response to it before recording. It's like he recorded it, went back and went like, I loved the way that sounded. Like I've done that, and I've been like, oh, that's a great happy accident. But like, he had to know it right then, and then go like, oh, I'm going to keep that and note it right now. Like that's kind of wild to me. Like it's next level shit. I wish I had that fucking brain.
Same. Find a middle C. Usually.
I don't know if that story is going to make the podcast, but I just wanted to share it right there.
Keep it. It's awesome. Hey everyone, Johnny Christ likes Chopin.
Love Chopin. Love Chopin.
Shopping?
Chopping. He loves chopping. He loves chopping it up with Heidi. Speaking of chopping it up, though, let's get into some of your stunt stuff. We've gotten into some of the music, which I'm so glad I'm so glad to have met you and talked about this, as I had no idea your background with the singing, with the music. It's so awesome, and I cannot wait to continue to watch your guys' career now that I know so much more about it too. It's really my inclination on a couple of the songs felt really right after our conversation, so I'm on board with that, and I'm really excited to see what's going forward with that. But we talked about sports, we talked about music, we didn't talk about acting yet, so we got to get into that. So I know that this one will be kind of a transition in, because we talked about you're a natural athlete. You've been doing that for your whole life. You ended up being a stunt double for Presley, Jamie Presley. Yeah, Jamie. On My Name Is Earl, that show with the guy that I love from Mallrats, Brody. Yeah. And you know, I just have a million questions about that, obviously, because that's a world I'm not in. So but you know, anyways, I could see why you'd be a stunt double for Jamie Presley. You did that for like 20 episodes, right? Can you walk me through how that happened for you? And was it just like, you're like, fuck it, let's go?
Yeah, my dad owns a production company. He works in film. He has since I was a young girl. And so he's been in the industry for 30 something years. So I started doing commercials at a young age, doing like random acting stuff. I was in the movie The Sandlot when I was 8 years old.
Whoa. I'm going to show you a picture because I can't move the camera right now. I have a poster that I got from Dave & Buster's. I won an auction, signed by everyone on The Sandlot, like the main characters. Obviously, I'm going to have to pull it out. Would you sign it for me?
Oh my God, I wasn't a main character.
It doesn't matter. You were on the fucking show. That makes it even more cool to me.
I'll totally sign it. It's worth $0, but I got you.
What role were you? What scene?
I was just an extra, but it was when the dog was chasing
Hercules.
Yeah, my little sister had more of a prominent role, but yeah, it was just something my dad was working on, and so we all came in and were a part of it, and it was really cool.
Was that filmed in Utah?
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's filmed in Salt Lake. Yeah, and so it was, it's just stuff like that I've been a part of my whole life. And so when I moved to Los Angeles, I moved to there because I got a job at a radio station. But after that job kind of ended, I decided to take up acting again. I was in the town for it. Like, why not give it a whirl? And I started doing like background work, just working with, just an agency, just for a paycheck, like go be on set, background work, music was my main steez. I wasn't trying to become a big actor or anything. But I started doing background on My Name Is Earl. And then after a while, they were like, hey, you could totally play her stunt double. You could play her double. We've got this. It's mostly like pushing wheelbarrows and like easy stuff like that. It wasn't anything like, I wasn't doing like backflips off anything.
You weren't Jackie Chan in that shit.
It wasn't hard stuff. But it was really fun. And they brought me in for an entire season. And at the end of the season, I think this was maybe the very last episode of My Name Is Earl ever. I have a role on there where I play her imposter. So it was really cool. It was really fun. A very unique experience. I remember sitting in the makeup room with Jamie Presley, and it was her 30th birthday. And she had Steel Panther playing her birthday party.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I
love those dudes, by the way.
Yeah, they're great. They're awesome.
You had to know them. You guys were on the strip together, like when they were doing the Key Club as middle school, right?
Yeah. So one night, they were at the Key Club on Mondays, and then we had a residency at the Roxy on Mondays, and so you guys
are competitors, huh?
Yeah, and then I would get done with the show and I'd go and jump on their stage like with a mohawk. I had a mohawk and like crazy
I
shit.
used to have a mohawk too. Now it's just like this weird thing I got going on. I don't know.
The early 2000s, man.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah. So it was a really, really cool experience. I've in a music video that we just released, Yorktown, was actually produced by my family, but we got to do our own stunts in that too, which is really fun.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. It was produced by your family. So is that the first time you've done that? Like, I wanted to ask about all your music videos because has that always been your guys' visions on those, or walk me through that? Just different directors, or has it always been the same?
Yeah, it's always been our vision. We've produced pretty much all of our videos and, written, storyboarded, did all the treatments, everything for all of our music videos. But when it came time to do this one for Yorktown, my parents just got this big ass studio with like green screens and, they can put up wires for us to do stunts on. And we had time, and I'm like, hey, band, you guys want to go to Utah and make a music video? My family will make it for us. And so they had everything we needed. Rad. So we just went to Utah and spent a couple days with my family. And my brother-in-law directed it. I produced it. And then my dad and my brothers did all the lighting. My brothers are in the video. One of them's doing like backflips and stuff.
Wasn't two of your brothers that you conked their heads, right? Was it? Or
yeah, those are my brothers. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a dream come true for me.
I'm sure that wasn't the first time you did that. No, there's no way.
Those poor boys, they've been through so much. They're the most supportive. My brothers are amazing men. They're like when 3 girls, then 3 boys. So they're all 8 years much younger than me. And they're like my best friends. They're the kind of guys who come in like, Heidi, may I open this door for you? They treat me like a queen. They're just so sweet. So
they're adjusting the crown for you.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So it was really fun to be able to go do that and make it a big family affair. My mom's in the video. My sister's in the video. It's like
that's so cool.
Family thing. Yeah. And we got to do our own stunts in that video too. So I got to teach Carla a couple of little things.
Oh, you were the lead choreographer on it too, huh?
We had stunt coordinators there that would help with stuff, but I definitely did a lot of the coordination when it came to, okay, so I'm going to step here and you're going to step there and then jump, but you're going to pretend you threw me over your shoulder, but I'm just really jumping over your shoulder. So don't worry, you're not going to throw your shoulder out, like all these
That's awesome.
It was really fun to be able to do. And we had wires where we were jumping. I did a backflip on wires, and it was just so much fun.
It's a fun video. I did watch the video, by the way, and it's a fun video. Yeah. I love the old school Batman and Robin, Pow and Wham stuff going on there. It was a fun video. It was very cool.
Thanks. We love being silly. We have a name called, our name's Butcher Babies. It sounds so like brutal and cute at the same time, but we're silly, and we just want everything to be a party. We've noticed that our silly side really stands out more than, we're a serious metal band.
I'm so glad you talked about that. 'Cause, yeah, dude, early on, we did the same thing, straight faced, everything. And when you realize you're having fun, you're like, what the fuck am I pissed off about?
Right?
This is amazing. I'm hanging out with a bunch of like-minded fucking people here, and we're all having a good fucking time. What could be wrong about this?
Yeah, and you find yourself smiling on stage. And I used to, when we first started, I was like, I'm a serious metal chick. Brr. I'm doing this face on stage, like all the time.
I wonder if a part of that though is because of the industry and that double-edged sword we talked about earlier. Like if you knew you were going to war anyway. Like you have more of an excuse than I did for being mad.
Yeah, and now I'm happy. Now, I go on stage and I'm like this, and we make music videos where we play stupid superheroes.
Dude, there's another music video that I wanted to talk about because I want to know where the inspiration. Now that I know that you guys are doing it, where's the inspiration for a Headspin come? Because I recently got an Oculus too, And I'm wondering, like, there's a teenager, he's in his room by himself. I'm knocking this too. There's a girl, looks like an Instagram model that I've seen in my searches. I don't know. And then I guess this question is twofold. Why didn't one of you girls play that part? And you know, what was the inspiration there? How long the Headspin was, you did that video how long ago? So, I mean, I just got my Oculus 2. Was that an Oculus 1 or something?
I'm not sure what it was. It was some sort of VR thing, but, you know, that video was made in 2017. And when writing that song, it was definitely something different than we had ever done, because it is a very sexual song. Mm-hmm. And I think for us, we had strayed away from writing anything in that vein our entire career.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to ask real quickly, because you were about to go into it and everyone's going to say, why you keep interrupting her? Sorry. But you know, like, early on, you guys used to come out, like, I heard about it. You guys came out with the tape and everything. I remember hearing about your name, and there was rumors about you gals that have been completely debunked. And I was just like, because I would hear things, you know, and like, oh, she was in Playboy and she was this and she was that. And then like you hear the story now and I'm like, there's no fucking way. But none of that is true. But you know, obviously it was talked about. So I guess what you're probably alluding to is getting away from that stigma and those rumors that were plaguing your guys' career early on, right?
Yeah, I mean, for us, when we started that, it was an ode to Wendy O. Williams. She was the first female in metal and punk, and she wore the nipple tape. She had a song called Butcher Baby. That's where the name came from. Mm-hmm. You know, Wendy O. Williams is like the pioneer of pioneers in, you know, female going out there and punk and metal and everything. So that's really what that was an ode to. But everyone thought that, all their music's going to be like super sexual because they look like that. Like, we went on stage and we performed how we perform now. Like, we weren't up there like, hey, look at me. You know, we weren't doing that. It was.
Well, no, I mean, didn't Carla have an incident where I read somewhere she had an incident?
Yeah. Wait, which one? She's had lots of incidents.
Well, I mean, I guess it went back to like the tape. I don't know. I'm asking you because I know, like, before she had a rupture in her one of her breasts, right? Yeah,
she had a rupture. It was pretty wild from a pit.
I mean, that's kind of awesome. She went for it though, but I mean, like, well, at the end of it, it's like, well, you know, you're topless. You ain't got a lot of protection out there, and you know, it's.
How it went.
Everyone could probably read between the lines or go find the article. It's pretty easy to find. But it's she got it.
Something, guys. But, so we didn't want to write about anything in that vein, you know, in our early years by any means. And then we were like, okay, it's been almost, you know, 10 years, and I wanted to do it tastefully. And so in the lyrics, it's if you listen to the lyrics and you close your eyes, you can picture what the music video might be like. And that's kind of what we wanted to make the music video. We wanted it to be this big fantasy scene. Like, this is a fantasy, you know, you close your eyes and you listen to the song and you can, you know, fantasize about anything, which we all have done with music, whether or not you're fantasizing you're the lead singer of a band or whatever your, you know, kink may be.
I always fantasized about being the bass player. I never fantasized about being the lead singer.
And here you are. You just lay in bed like you're 11 years old. You're all.
That's like said no one anywhere. I just want to be the bass. No, I really did. I did at a point, but like not early on. Early on, no one. Before you know anything. Anyways, I digress. You keep talking.
Well, when we wrote that music video and we decided to do it the way that we did, we wanted to get a couple that was comfortable in that scenario. So we got Jessa Rhodes. She is in the porn industry.
That's where I recognized her from. Okay. I just totally got caught like that guy. Like, I think there was a Friends episode where he finds like Phoebe and he's like, I know you from somewhere. And it's like, oh, she's the porn star. I just totally got caught. I was just like, no, she looks like someone I know. And then I'm like, why?
Also, she's also like, she does modeling. Mm-hmm. I'm actually seeing her tomorrow morning.
Oh, so tell her I said hello and recognized her in your music video.
Yeah. She's awesome though. She's such a cool person. She's such a metalhead. She used to come to our shows. Like, when we were on tour with Marilyn Manson, like she came to a bunch of our dates and everything. She's like, she loves metal. Awesome. And so this other dude that she used to work with, she suggested him, and I had known him a little bit from being her friend. And so we were lucky enough to get them on set one day just for a couple of hours, and they performed and it was amazing. Yeah. But they were together for several years after that video. It was
they were was that their first date?
We like ignited something. Yeah. They had been dating right after that. So
good on you.
Yeah. We're just matchmakers over here with your babies. But they're not together anymore, but both incredible people. It was directed by Brian Cox, and he did such a great job. And we just wanted something a little bit different than what we had done before. Mm-hmm. We had the silly, we had the serious, but we didn't really have the sexy. And it's such a natural, normal, thing that every human experiences, and we had been cutting ourselves off from that experience. And that's the only song we have that goes down that path.
I noticed that actually. And I was like, I was listening to it. Like I totally noticed that, but until you screamed my name, I was like, what I really liked when I first listened to it, and I listened back and understood a little bit more, but when I first listened to it, I'm like, are you talking about the female or the male or the however you want to identify it at this point? But like, are you talking about the female position or the male position? Because I'm like, either way, it kind of fucking works. Yeah,
that's kind of how we wrote it, where it could just be interchangeable. It's, even though it says, he said, please just don't stop. It's because I'm singing it. He said, please just don't stop.
It could be very interpretive on that. Yeah.
Yeah. And to me, releasing that song was so liberating. I just felt like I took a piece of me back, because that for so long I had been so like against the grain. I'm not doing this. And then I realized
Against the Grain, great Bad Religion record.
Yeah. But I realized I was actually holding myself back from, writing about that basic human instinct. So, but
I'm glad you said that, basic human instinct. Like, it's always like a tongue-in-cheek topic to talk about, and I don't know why. Going back to stigmas, like I've met enough people in the sex industry, as it's called, or whatever, and I just don't understand why it was ever something that anyone was bummed out on. Like, I'm just like, of course, anything that is involved without consent, anything in that realm is of course wrong, and we can. That's an easy enough issue to say, yeah, that one's wrong. But if it's consenting and everything like that, I just, where's the issue? We all have those thoughts. So why is there an issue?
Exactly. And I think that opening myself up to writing in that vein really was liberating, because, like I said, I had been holding myself back. Like, nobody else was holding me back. I was holding myself back about writing that. Like, label.
I love that you said that, because that's not even just a label. Just that's what everyone should feel like. Why am I doing this? Oh wait, I'm doing this. I just said why I'm doing this.
Yeah, and I love playing that song live, and it's such a moment of, we're always like, in your face, party, yeah, and then we play that song, and it kind of just brings it down to a level where everyone kind of understands what it's about. So, I mean, it's just, thinking back to our catalog and like throughout all these different songs that we released and these things that we've written about, it's hard not to think about the growth that's happened over the past 12 years. I mean, it's wild. Just, I grew up, we came from being a young girl to a woman in front of everybody's eyes.
Right.
And you can hear it in the music. You can hear it in the things that we write about. And man, I can't imagine if I didn't have that outlet. And I'm sure you can attest to that too. If you didn't have that outlet, ugh.
I don't know. Yeah, that's a weird, honest question to ask yourself. Like, check your ego and ask, who would you be? You know, like there's a lot of, man, you just touched upon it. Like that's a heady question. If anyone is really honest with themselves, like that's a heady question.
Yeah, it really is. It's weird to think about. The other day, someone asked me, what would you be doing if Butcher Babies weren't here? And I'd probably still be in radio. I was a radio DJ. I'd probably still be doing that. But I wouldn't want to be doing anything else. No, you know,
it's just it's so you. It's so you don't know anything. No, it doesn't compute. That we've gone through.
Yeah, like, you know, besides, like, you know, these trolls saying this person saying that, everyone, you know, people saying this, people doubting you for this blah, blah, blah reason. Like, I wouldn't give any of that up, and I'm sure you wouldn't either give any of that up for the emotions you feel when you step on stage, which we've all missed over the past, you know, year and a half. And I'm so lucky to be able to get to do that in a couple of weeks.
So happy you guys are about to go doing that. I'm happy for you because I know what a fucking relief that is going to be for you. And I just, kudos to you guys. I'm really happy for you guys for getting out there, and everyone go check out this fucking tour. I guarantee you it's going to be fucking good. The more I'm talking to you, I'm so grateful to have you on the show. I was going to say, the fact of the matter is, I'm just a lucky human being, and this is the way my life played out, and I'm going to keep playing those cards. You know, it's a lot of fun. Yeah. I don't know what else to do.
But you also worked hard, you know. Like,
of course. Well, I mean, that's part of it, you know. Everyone's got to put in the work. That's absolutely part of it. Now, the last thing, everyone go check out this tour. It's coming up right now. Yes. Let's everyone. Oh, is it coming through LA, by the way?
It is October 7th.
I think I'll be around. Can I come?
Of course. You got
to come.
List with your name on it, buddy.
No, I'll buy tickets. I just want to know if I can come.
No, come on.
No, that would be awesome because I would love to.
Buy tickets. Just kidding.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, love to have you.
I would love to come out. And honestly, I can't wait for this tour. I can't wait to further our friendship. It was a great conversation. I really appreciate your time. We've been talking for quite a while here now, so I'll let you go. But there was one last thing I wanted to talk about. So I have a childhood crush, celebrity crush, and it was Jennifer Love Hewitt. You were on like a couple episodes of Ghost Whisperer or something like that. Yeah. I read somewhere. Did you have any interaction? I had interaction with her, but not like personable at all. But like, did you have any interaction with her?
Just one.
Let me hear it.
So it was the middle of the night, and we were filming in the woods, and it was like a seance thing. So we were all dressed.
Whoa. I just have to now I'm picturing just the two of you in the woods, and I'm like, okay, wait, no.
It was a group of people.
Oh, you guys were filming. Okay. Don't take me out of the moment like that again, Heidi.
I'm like, and
I just told you she was my childhood crush.
Yeah, no, there were a bunch of us, and we were all dressed in these nightgowns. It was like a seance thing, and it was so fucking cold. And so between all these takes, we would all go into this tent together to warm up. Mm-hmm. I didn't really get to talk to her much, but that was the only time I was ever around her. But she was really nice.
She was nice.
So
okay,
that's a good crush.
That's good. So, I still love her. She's done a bunch of stuff. I mean, it started from Can't Hardly Wait was like the first thing I ever saw her in, and I was like, I'm hooked. And we played in front of her. You remember the Scream Awards? You were on like Mansers. You had a bunch of spots on Mansers, right?
Yeah, I did. Like 5 seasons of Mansers on Spike TV. Yeah, that was really fun.
Was that? I mean, I'm trying to remember the show. I know I watched the show, and I'm trying to remember. Were you like one of the reenactors of
Yeah.
Yes.
People would tell stories. So there's it's almost like Mythbusters, but for men. Mm-hmm. There was one so how to hide drugs from a drug dog, and
oh, that's right. Okay, yeah. I do. Yeah, okay.
And so we You know,
I was getting it confused with like Thousand Ways to Die or something like that because it's a very similar.
Same people.
Okay, it's a very similar production.
Yeah, there's a that was so much fun. I loved working on that TV show. Everyone I worked with was incredible. All the girls were really fun, and it was a really cute show. You know, it's funny. Before I moved to Los Angeles and when I was married, I used to watch that with my ex-husband. Then fast forward, like 5 years later, I'm on the fucking TV show.
Do you think he's still watching it, like, and seeing you on it?
I think he probably did, and then he's like, "Oh,
I love it." It's like she's on the show we used to watch together. What the fuck? I mean, I don't know how it ended. I'm sure whatever. We don't need to get into all that, but I could imagine if I was on the other side of that coin, I'd be like, "Well, that fucking sucks."
Can't watch this show anymore.
I love that. I'm gonna leave it at that right now. For now, we're gonna do this again in person, with or without the cameras. Had so much fun with you tonight, Heidi. Thank you for having fun, having some drinks with me. Everyone, go check out the Butcher Babies tour. Butcher Babies on all the social media. There's .com, and it's Heidi the Butcher, right, on all your social.
That's me. Yeah.
So everyone, easy enough to find. Cheers. Thank you so much for being here, Heidi.
Thank you so much. It's so nice to hang out. I appreciate it. Thirsty Thursdays.
Thirsty Thursdays, everyone. Cheers. That's going to do it for this episode of Drinks with Johnny. Thanks so much to Heidi for being on the show. Thanks for you guys to being here. For you guys to being here. I just said that. That's awesome. Anyways, if you want more of this stuff, head over to drinkswithjohnny.com. This is the spiel. You can stop watching or you can continue. I don't care either way. I'm still here. So head over to drinkswithjohnny.com, find everything else you need to know, and follow us, subscribe, all those fucking things. Anyways, thanks, guys. Cheers.